Check, check. Quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I can hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. Boy, I think I've seen you all day.
I should have changed my shirt or something. Yeah. It has been a day, marathon day for sure. We do these every once in a while. Production team working on the show in the background, maintenance day. So we did a little bit of a takeover on Topstep TV, but it was fun. It's a lot of fun. Great guests, some good trading going on as well. But got to make sure we take care of home, right? Got to make sure we make it back for at the buzzer. So, how you doing today, Coach Paul?
Wow, up and down, kind of like the market.
Kind of like the
I had
market.
an interesting day. I had a good day overall, but wow. Um, but can't be really surprised. This is the world we live in now, from tweet to tweet, from headline to headline. So, how was your day, Coach?
It was good. It was good. Like I said, a busy day. There was some good trading going on though. And I to me, when I see markets like this, these are kind of my favorite markets to trade. So I took a couple opportunities in it. A couple quick scalps. Had some trades that if I would have let them play out, would have probably hit profit target. But good day overall. So I'm not going to complain about it. But welcome to At the Buzzer, everyone. Our market recap. If this is your first time here, I'm Coach Jay. That is Coach Paul. Goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. May talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. Uh, I just did that.
Managing our risk. Key key phrase today.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I realized I just did the intro backwards, but I'm Jay. That's Paul. You guys know us, and let's just get into these charts, shall we?
Let's
Uh,
get it done.
Actually, we got some news first. So, we did have inflation data come out. CPI year over year came in at 2.4%. Forecast was 2.4%. Month over month came in at. Am I reading this right? Uh, Reading that right? Yep. Month over month came in at 0.1%. Forecast was 0.2. Um, And we also had some unplanned news, or maybe planned. We know that the trade talks are going on between the U.S. and China in London. This morning, before the open, we had some messages from the president saying that the deal with China is done. Still needs to be approved, but it's done. And we saw the markets respond favorably to that. Um, we got some comments from Treasury Secretary, Commerce Secretary Lutnick. We heard comments from Besant all day as well. Just on the tariffs, still nothing concrete really there, Coach Paul. I don't know about you, but
Uh,
any more clarity after these comments from on your side?
the only clarity I really saw today was that the CPI number.
Yep.
That was very friendly. Um, but the talk is cheap, but there is no details. Um, you know, so that part is no clarity. The biggest concern that I saw was the headline that U.S. Embassy in Iraq is preparing for an ordered evacuation due to heightened security risks in the region and rumors of action in Iran. We saw that in the crude. We saw some of that work out in the equities. That I found that headline very interesting in the midst of all of this. But we'll go into crude later. But that one, I don't wasn't expecting that one.
No, not at all. Not at all. But let's get into the charts. There are 35 different markets we can trade with top step accounts, not just the equities. And today, to the downside, we had soybeans down 0.76%, silver down 0.81%. We saw that big move in silver yesterday, and I think it just gave back a little bit of it. And copper, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 2.07%. To the upside, we had heating oil up 2.76%. RBOB gasoline futures up 3.38%. And crude oil, like you mentioned, Coach Paul, it broke out up 4.63% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside, trading at $68 right now. To talk about our big four, we already talked about crude up 4.63%, the S&P down 0.2%, Gold up 0.77% and the Nasdaq down 0.27%. I have a S&P chart up here, Coach Paul.
Let's begin there.
We want to start with the daily, or we want to go straight to the 30?
Well, let's look at the daily because it keeps a good perspective.
Yes, it does.
I mean, really nothing happened. I mean, percentage wise, the upside's still intact. We did make new highs on the move, but we couldn't get any volume with it. We had some decent volume on the sell side for a short day, but that high volume can be expected for CPI. Now we have PPI tomorrow. Um, Brace yourself for that. But hey, I mean, it doesn't look toppish to me.
I agree. It doesn't look toppish at all. Still moving to the upside and still making higher lows. Still making higher lows. Low of the day today, 6,006 and a quarter. We opened up right at that, right under that 60-40 level that we've been talking about. Opened up right under that, kind of closed pretty much unchanged, but pretty strong markets. Pretty strong markets. After that CPI number, it looked like we were just gonna go, uh, but market had other ideas. Let's go down to a shorter time frame. Let's go down to a half an hour chart. Let's take a look at last night's open. And you guys already see what I'm looking at, but we'll mark it off here. I mean, come on now. How
We
many
might
times are
have to
they gonna
rename the show.
how many times are they're gonna get away with this?
uh, as many as it takes.
Right. As many as it takes. Here is last night's open.
And that last night we had following the pattern, leaking lower until our friends in London open up. But to be expected that overnight in front of CPI, it was a nice little breakout. Um, but really, the show was the number.
Yep.
So what I found most interesting in today was that white line held as support once again.
It's almost weird how symmetrical this looks.
Yeah,
That's very weird here.
but
32 points. Pretty close to 50-50 day. That's balance, right, Coach Wall?
we're in a balanced market. Interesting. What I would be I'm concerned as from an investor's point of view is we're we are rallying, but it's almost like forced. It's in its natural state. But if some missile flies towards Iran, none of this matters. So
Right.
it's having trouble sustaining buying. It's like here I put it this way: the buying stops, and we go right back down. So um, it was interesting today how out of balance the tilt got. At one time it was 87%, I think. That's a red flag every time. Um, so once again, we had buying early, couldn't sustain, and basically went right back to 200, where we're right back in the middle of the range. Anything else you see in there?
No, let's go down to a shorter time frame. Of course, we had the news. There was a couple of news spikes today. 6,006 was that 200 moving average, but so we had the news spike on. We made a deal with China. That's this one here. Then we had CPI that came in after that. I just I don't know about anybody else, but when I see symmetry like this in the markets, I'm like, man, this is perfect, right? We had this news spike. I don't need to know what this is. We saw it. Um, we came down, tested 50% of that exactly on that CPI print. JD was talking about getting long in gold. and it would have been a nice trade that, but you could have done the same thing here in the S&Ps. Risk management over everything though. So, would I go into this trade into CPI off of this 50% with 15 minis? Probably not. But a micro, is it that much of a risk out? Is it that more risk than any other trade that you would take in the day if you trade it with a micro and have a stop? I don't think so. Uh, we spiked up, and that news kind of set the high for the day. Everything else from that point was a sell. Um, And the only other thing I wanted to point out, Coach Paul, we were talking about J trades, and I did take one, and
Yeah,
it's still not invalidated off of that 200 moving average.
no, I took it and got a 2 to 1. Um, then there was another one that didn't work out as well. But this one was a classic. Put it in the encyclopedia of J trades. Um, right, and because it made a new low.
Yeah, there
And
were.
wick.
Yeah, and this is where we talked about. Do you trade levels? Do you trade setups? Setups at a level. This trade is still not invalidated, and we're still high, trending higher, and we can see that 50% held. 60/40 was the target I was looking for here, which was around 50% of we made a deal candle right around that 60/40, and I still think we get there. Probably, I mean, obviously it's 8 points away, so I'm not saying anything that's
That's super
groundbreaking,
controversial.
but it looks like a pretty good target here. We do have a guest in the green room, Coach Paul. I'm gonna pull up a gold chart if you want to go through that one real quick,
Sure.
and then we will bring our guest in. We got gold on a daily here.
All right. Put the 20 and the 50 up there. Once again, we held them. Um, how many days in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. Still looking very friendly. Um, the small range, once again, average volume. But what I find very interesting here, or bullish, is that the 20-day moving average is curling up against the 50. Um, when we're in this sideways action, that's usually a pretty good sign, um, a bullish sign. Now, um, we get a chance. Put a trend line. We've broken that trend line from the top. We're holding it. Um, yeah, that one. Um, holding those moving average still looks like it's coiling and wants to rip higher, but it hasn't been easy. I will still trade the long side of this market. Let's look at the 30-minute. Well, well, that's we're above the 200 in a 30-minute. Look what we went to, and I believe in a 3-minute we had, or a 5-minute. I forgot which one did I have. It had a J trade off the lows.
I think it
Was it the 3-minute?
might have been the 5. I think it was on the 5. Yeah. Either
Yeah.
way,
And boy, did it take off.
yeah, it did.
Um, Most
It moved
likely
a
on
lot
that,
after settlement.
and it does, doesn't it?
That's a big move after settlement.
And that was kind of the time. Well, that was that headline. Um, Iraq evacuating the
Mhm.
embassy.
Right.
I mean, that's concerning things. I mean, that just doesn't happen on a whim. So anyway, um, that bounce there and the carryover in crude. Um, that was a nice J trade, but still overall, still trending up, starting to show that it's being bought off the lows of the day. It's being accumulated. Sellers are not getting anywhere um, in the longer term. So and look at what we're doing. We're still rallying. Um, so crude, I mean, gold, onward and upward. Is there anything else you're seeing in that, Coach? So, are we ready for our comrade in arms?
How you doing? How you doing? There goes the neighborhood, huh?
Jay,
How you do-
Jay, they say you're muted.
Yep, I am muted.
I-
There you
I
go.
could hear Jay.
I've been doing this all day. You guys could hear me. The stream couldn't. We brought in Coach Robert. I've been doing this all day. Muting myself. And I'm like taking an assist, Coach Paul, and just throwing it out of bounds, right? Where that was a great intro. But is it a great intro if no one heard it? But welcome, Coach Robert. Thank you for joining us. Let's get right into it. Good to see you here. What do you want to talk about today, Coach Robert?
I appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me. It's been a while. So we were chatting a bit a few days ago, saying, "Hey, we're gonna get you back on," and here we are. And Coach Paul, hello to you as well. I see your numbers every single day as a nice contributor to the Topstep's daily levels that we do all day. Every day, every morning. So yeah, it's great to be here with you guys. And I just saw you talking about gold, which is my absolute worst instrument ever in my life. Maybe it'll change around. I don't know.
Did we trigger you, Coach? I feel your pain. That gold can be a really hard thing to trade.
Yeah, man. I always say, if I have ever won a trade in gold, it was only one trade in gold. I am that bad at it.
one on one.
Whew. No, it's like maybe 85. Like if you do win to loss, I'm like 1 in 85. It's
I was talking one WON to one.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. But it's great, Coach Jay. Great job today on taking over the whole thing. There's usually like 10 or 11 of us back there running things.
Oh, yeah,
it was
man.
just a few. So
yeah,
you can have a nice night's sleep.
Absolutely. So I was telling Coach Paul in the green room, I actually have to go pack after this because I'm going to Toronto tomorrow morning. So I don't know if I don't know. I'll sleep on the flight. Unfortunately, it's like an hour flight.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'll get a quick.
It's an up and down flight.
Right. Exactly. I'll get a quick nap in. But I wanted to have Coach Robert on. I know you did the Topstep API class recently. I believe we might get that released sometime soon here if it hasn't been already. But let's talk about that a little bit, Coach Robert. It's been maybe a month now that it's been open to traders to use, some coders to use. I did look into the Discord channel and see what people were building there, and I'm like, wow, these people are pretty damn advanced. And yourself being one of them. What can you tell us about what you've built with the API, what you've seen other traders build, and how things are going?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for that intro there. And those are done actually. I'm going to put them both into chat right now. It's a 2-part series. Part 1 and part 2, they were basically on different days at different times because Topstep being global, we want to make sure we get to every trader because it was a live session and it was recorded. So on the first one, I believe it was like a Tuesday morning, and then the following was like a Thursday evening or something like that, where a lot of it was the same. I used a similar documentation, but from one Tuesday to the following Thursday, you know how things change around here. They change pretty quick. So we had some updates to it. And I was able to give a couple more examples. It was really good, had a lot of great questions. They were all an hour each because we did in Discord, and there was another coach having a session on the stage after I was. So we wanted to make sure we kept them an hour each. But I'll tell you what, if it's really good. It's really good, but it's also really new. So basically what the API is, it's literally just a throughput to say, hey, we're using Topstep X right now. And when we place a trade, it has to go somewhere, a broker, to place that trade. All right. Well, what if I don't have Topstep X, right? And I use Quant Tower. Well, Quant Tower is integrated also because there was a deal made. They made an API connected to the back end of Topstep X, which is direct connection to CME. However, if you use NinjaTrader, you can't. If you use CR charts, you can't. Tradeovate, you can't. However, if I want to make my own, I can certainly do that and say, hey, here's my API key. This is my license for it, and send it through that throughput to go to the back end of Topstep X. So you can literally, we've made these already. It's a panel that comes up and says, let's just make it really easy and say, I'm going to do a 20 to 40 moving average crossover. Great. It's 20 is on the bottom, 40 is on the top. Market starts to go up. The 20 is, of course, crosses over it. And that will trigger my app, my bot, my automation, whatever you want to call it. And it says, this event just happened. So therefore, place a trade, one contract on this, one lot on this instrument in this direction, and here's my target and stop. And it just does it automatically. And you can literally have your Topstep X chart sitting there and watch it. So you don't have to do anything. And there's a lot of traders doing some really, really cool stuff with that. They're just getting into them on conditions, That's what automation is all about. It takes the emotion out of it, and they really are doing a great job. Some of these coders are doing so well. They built their own dashboards and their own chart because once you get the data, you have it. You can't pull a moving average from it because you can't get the Topstep, like the indicators on TradingView. You don't have custom ones, but you don't need it. So if you think of what a moving average is calculated on close and you set it to 20, it's just going to look back 20 candles and go, what's the price of 20 close, the 19th candle close, the 18th candle close, add them up, divide by 20, and now you have your moving average. So,
nice.
Exactly. So, so you have the data that is used to plot everything on a chart, regardless of what it is, MACDs, Bollinger Bands, volume. You have all the information coming in. It's just that Topstep X says, hey, we can plot that on the chart for you. Here's your moving average. But we don't need to see it on the chart if you're just making the calculations and saying, hey, here's a high pivot and a low pivot, and I want to make a retrace when it crosses the 50% fit. Great. High and low divide by 50, right? Or times 0.5, and there's your entry. So if you have the data, you can make whatever you want, and some of these coders are doing a fabulous, fabulous job. And it's the API channel in Discord. I'm like living in there these days. It's really fun.
Yes.
I'm sure. We do have some questions for you, Coach Robert. And if you guys do, I got some questions myself. But Trevor Mayo wants to know, can you pull historical tick data?
Yeah,
yes, you can. Oh, wait. Oh, no, hold on. Tick data. No, you'll get down through second data. We don't have the tick data, but you can get them on the 1 second time frame. And it's an aggregate. I want to say, it's going to kill me on this, but it's I want to say it's 400 periods. So if you have a 1 hour chart, you get up to 400 1 hour candles. The limitation is the daily, because once you get past the 400 days, you're going back to previous contracts. So that's out there. But if you wanted a 5-minute chart, you can get up to 400 5-minute candles. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can store it locally if you know how to do it.
We got another one from. Go ahead, Coach Wall. Go ahead, Coach Wall.
If you wanted to go further back than that, is there an option to purchase? Because I've done a lot of back testing, and back data is not cheap. What do they give you standard?
Yeah, you have access to all of the data going back 400 periods. So the highest would be to the previous. I want to say I'm going to push it, but it might be if you look at the previous contract. Like let's say the contract just changed over today, and you want to look back 5 days. You'll still get that data. They're not going to cut it off right there, but you certainly can't get data of like June of 2023. It's just not there. It's not available. However, keep in mind, folks, that this and everybody and Paul, listen, that you're not using actually Topstep X. This comes right away from it. Okay, so what you can do is go to another site, let's say tickdata.com, download their information, and then import 10 years of data into your own little app, because you have to custom build these. You got to pull up Visual Studio or Python, a PyCharm, and start typing X equals this parentheses dot colon, all of these things to get that in there. And there are templates for it. I actually built a GPT that has all the documentation and examples in there. So if somebody says, how do I get this data? You can literally type in, how do I get tick data? And it will pull back that information right from that GPT, custom made, and it's updating and learning all the time, which is, it's kind of a neat thing. So yeah, you can do that, Paul. You can't get it from, technically it'd be through Project X, getting the data from CME. There's a limit going back. But if you want to pull data from another site and then say, this is my database that I'm storing locally, pull this data in also, and then use that to make my, my criteria, that's totally fine. So it's wide open. It's like, think of it as an open source platform without the platform.
Thank you.
Good stuff. For Coach Robert, does the Project X connection in Quantower work on live Topstep X accounts? Do you know that? Good question.
Yeah, it works on all accounts. If
right?
you have, if you have a Topstep X username password, obviously you need it. Then you go to your Topstep X platform like this. You go, excuse me, this is the platform. You go to the dashboard, and then you subscribe to the API that goes directly to Project X. That's not a Topstep feature. Topstep's feature says, hey, we're going to allow you to use a Project X. So as long as you have an account through the Topstep X platform and account on that new dashboard, the answer is yes. Whether it's a Combine, XFA, or live data, it's still coming from the same place. All the data is coming in, and the route will be a little different because now you're placing orders not in the sim environment, but in a live environment. The answer is yes, you can do that.
Good stuff. Darnell Price in the chat says, I have back to March 2025 on 1 second charts. He has 3 months of data. What he did was build a database, right? And then he's using that database. So, I mean, you guys are geniuses, right? I just click red and green buttons all day. But you guys are geniuses. Coach Robert, one of the questions I had, right, where maybe I'm not the best coder, right? Maybe I'm not the best programmer. I have a general idea. Maybe I could share it with someone. I've seen some other traders ask this as well. And maybe, do you see some of the stuff that's being custom built ever being in a platform where it can be shared, right? Where we have, TradingView community indicators, right? Do you see that somewhere down the line being something that we have, right? Where, hey, I built this automation using the API and I just want to share it with other people. Do you see that coming at some point soon? And I mean, technically we could do it now, right? You could just share somebody your code, but a little different.
Yeah, you don't even need to share the code. It's a great question. And you're right. You go to TradingView itself and you go to public indicators. And I have a ton of my code myself out there, and other traders and other people at Topstep as well. NinjaTrader the same way. They have, it's not what I was going to say playground or sandbox, but it's like a vendor program where you can code things in NinjaTrader and upload them to their, somebody will give me the name of it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a storage, a portal that you can go to, right? Okay. So right now the answer is no, there isn't. And you don't need to necessarily give somebody your code itself, but give them access. So if let's say I make this little application and I say, hey, this is a moving average crossover application. I'm just going to keep it simple so we don't get into craziness. And this is what it does. So you can package that in like a little app. Like if everybody's seen that little calculator I built, exactly the same thing with this little calculator you can use, right? Yeah, exactly the same thing. As a matter of fact, I am building that, using my API keys, embedding them into that calculator so people can use it. So now what it does, it's just as a slight side step, if you put your pivot levels in there and you click on calculate, and it will give you a zone to trade into. But now there'll be a button right under that. If you like it, that says place trade. And that will be coming in. So you can package it, just encrypt the code called obfuscation. You obfuscate the code and then say, here you go. And then whether you want to license it, charge for it or whatever. But everybody right now individually has their coders have their own setup. And there isn't a single depository yet, a public one, like you said, TradingView. That said, a lot of us coders have something called GitHub, GitHub, and we publish the code up there, the ones that you want for public use, and it's free. You can go in there, sign up, get GitHub, and go, oh, I like so and so's coding. You can go over there, and that's only in that GPT also. So, hey, how do I do this? It might send you to a link to one of the coders' GitHub profile where they've already done it, and go, oh, I like this in Python, but I code in C#. Or you could just copy the code, paste it into that Topstep X coding bot that I made, and it will convert the whole thing to C# and give you the modules that you need to download and give you a process for it. It's really cool stuff.
Awesome
stuff. With that said, Coach Robert, how much coding experience in languages, whether it's Python or C++, or building the structure of script, which was my downfall when I was learning coding. I could get it, but the script was and I find that a lot of people, that's where it all goes wrong when you get into a death loop. How hard is it to get up to speed in this coding?
It depends. Great. Again, another great question, Paul. Coach Paul. It depends on your minds, and I don't mean by intelligence. It just depends on how you think. For example, I can learn a new coding programming language in like 2 months. I've spent years trying to learn Spanish, French, and whatever, and I cannot get past level one. See, it's a different type of a language and type of processing. Okay, so it's going to matter per person. And I will reference a site. I'm not affiliated. There's nothing whatsoever, and Topstep is not affiliated. But it's called 1 Month. OneMonth.com, 1month.com. And the courses are like $14 or something, and it will definitely get you where you need to be in a month, so you can actually build something and use it. You know, they start building like a Sudoku game and a little tic-tac-toe game and stuff. They go, oh, okay, now we need to make it a ball. How do we do this? And they're all pretty good. So to get started with it, if you know nothing about coding, it's going to take a little while, but it's certainly not unobtainable, put it that way. It depends on the language too. Depends on language, because when you're using an API like this, the API is just a connection. Okay, so how I explain it is like, hey, we all buy the same gasoline, premium gasoline, right? But depending on what car you use, you're still using the same gas. So the API is just the gas. It's the pipeline going out to place the trades. But on the front end of it, when you're coding, you can use Java, JavaScript, C++, C#, Python. And somebody mentioned something the other day that's like Pascal. I'm like, yeah, we don't have that one. But
no Fortran,
no Fortran, no Pascal. But yeah, if you and there are similarities to them. Just as for an example, if you have Ninja and you're used to doing Ninja script, that's a version of C#. However, if you've done a TradingView, they call that Pine script. That's a version of Python. And it's all kind of balled up in their own type of language. It just takes some things in, some things out. Like, you know, if you're trading on using TradingView, the Pine script language is based on Python, because they put these modules, they compile them all together. So say, hey, you don't have to do the 25 lines to draw 25 or 30 lines of code to draw a horizontal line. It's all embedded in there for you. You can just put input.line.horizontal, right? And now you have options that'll pop up and say color equals blue, and you put the hex color in, and so on and so forth. So they just have these little modules that they're already put in like little libraries. So that's why it's if you coded it directly in Python, you don't have to type out those codes, because it doesn't know what the hell you want to do. Like, you can just type in draw line, you know, it's all packaged that way. So yeah.
If you've ever typed out a code, it's so much easier to get it in a library, because commas do matter.
They do. I have a coffee cup that says on the label on the coffee cup says, I lost 3 hours of sleep due to I lost 2 days of sleep due to a semicolon.
Yeah.
And that is why I use ChatGPT. I can edit code, I can read it, but starting it from scratch, I don't even know if we need to do that at this point, right? Like you guys are saying, there's libraries, there's, you know, you can use AI, because we're seeing some people in the chat, right, say, you know, Doom's in the chat. He says, I'm so blind to coding, it's not even real. But part of the reason I enjoy having Coach Robert here is because you don't need to know how to code necessarily, right? That, you know, we're talking about GitHub. Right? You might need to know how to navigate GitHub to maybe download somebody else's code. But if there's a strategy that you see somebody else use and it's interesting to you, then you know there are ways without having to write it on your own. Speaking of strategies, we've heard the opening range breakout trade is. Are we close?
Well, the first step one was going to be to plot it on the chart, and that's not going to happen at this point. Yeah,
Gotcha.
if we're actually plotting it, but the bots are, yeah, they'll come out. Yep.
Nice. Nice.
Hey,
Yeah.
I have one more question where we put it
Yeah.
out to the audience. Is, in my experience with automated trading, you know, sometimes it doesn't do what you want it to do, or but you said there's an option that is there an option where it pops up and says, do you want to take this trade?
Yep, you'd have to program that in. If this happens or that doesn't happen, there's conditions, the ones I'm working on now, where all those what ifs have to be in there. So I'm logged in. I go to place a trade. What if I drop my connection? How does it know now? It saves them on the server side, but now all of a sudden my connection comes back up again, and my condition is still true. Let's say I wanted to do a high of day breakout. So I would simply say very easily, look back from the start of the day. What is the highest price? Is current price over that? So I would go long. Yes, as an example. But what happens if I drop my connection now? I lose power, and I come back on in 5 minutes, and my bot fires up again. But I'm already long. That condition is still true. Hey, you told me to look at the high of day, and the current price is over high of day. Here's another contract for you to go long. And I'm like, dang it, I didn't want to be in two. So you have to put conditions in there to say, what's the high of day? Is the current price over that? And is there a current position on? If true, don't enter a new trade. So you have to do stuff like that.
Oh.
And yeah, so you're absolutely right. You can do that. If something happens, if it doesn't go right, yeah, you can certainly do it. I have like green and red dots on mine if things are true, if they're false, and
because it all breaks down to true, false conditioning.
If then else.
And
yep. If then
so
else.
you can ask it, do I already have a position on?
Yep, and it will go out into queries, and there's a certain way to
that's awesome.
Just a lot. Yeah, the whole documentation is out there, and I have it in those the API channels there as well, and the what I call the videos that I put out there as well. So the documentation is out there where you can just click on it and say, well, how do I get how do I check to see if I have a position on? There's literally a section called positions, and you can look at the script on it, and it will show you. But that's also integrated into that GPT where it's actually pretty good as well. I probably should have. I can copy if people want to look at it. I can put that in there too.
Andrew made a good comment in the chat here. Automating your strategy will show you how much you actually naturally filter out in the markets. The bot won't have that feature.
How much yeah, that is a great comment as well. And it goes right along the lines of why I like automation. Now, let me be clear. Let me back up a little bit for 1 second, Jay, that automation, this is what it is not. It is not the longer you let it run, the more money you make. That is not true.
That lesson. I learned that lesson.
It is not true. Even if the condition is there, because there's all those what ifs, right? You got Trump tweeting things out now. You got Musk doing stuff. You have just a day of not even FOMC, but just something happened economically, right? And some report comes out like, how come that pushed the market around? Well, you need to take a look at that stuff too, but I do it through data. I don't watch a report to say, hey, did it rain and should I buy corn because it didn't? I don't see that to pull the crop reports in, but you can see the motion on it. Hey, this was my price. This is how far it moved. It took X amount of time to move within a certain average shoe range. And now it just cleared that range in 1/3 the amount of time. You know what that equals? Momentum. Okay.
Right.
Even though the price is the same, that equals momentum. Some platforms, like I know you're using Quant Tower, it's going to show you a different volume candle. And when I'm using range bars, they just go, whoop, they stack up really quickly, and you go, wow, that moved really quick. It doesn't mean it's going to continue, but you can check that data, right?
Absolutely.
I want to make sure I get to that question. I answered that, Jay, correctly. I want to make sure
question in the chat.
Yeah, the one that you just read. I think I got half of it.
Yeah, so it was a comment from Andrew saying automating your strategy will show you how much you naturally filter out in the markets. The bot won't have that feature.
Right, because of rules. It's rules based.
Right.
If it's so, you can look at the market and you
can
exactly. We just use that example. Look back from the start of the market. What is the highest price previously, and is the current price over that? If it is, go long. What happens if you turn and cough? Or you get a coffee or something, or you look at it and it does go over and like, oh man, it's going over, but I just saw 3 red candles in a row. You may not take that trade. The bot's not going to care unless you coded it in to say, go high long of day, unless there are 3 candles in a row before it. But you got to put it, it's going to do exactly what you say every single time. And that's a beauty I like about these things is it just, one of the biggest problems we have as traders is emotional trading, and using
100%.
automation just simply takes it out. So that's my philosophy. I do that for the VIP stuff, man. You know that, Jay, but where I'm going to take the biggest problem away as quickly as possible. So they do that if you're playing sports.
If you don't know what the biggest problem is, look in the mirror.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. So the better I can do that. Look at a sports game, right? You're playing you're playing against the Patriots guy, right? So you're playing against the Patriots and it was Tom Brady. The first thing you want to do is knock him out of the game. That's your biggest threat. Well, the biggest threat to trading is our emotional responses and reactions as traders. So I'm going to take that right out of the way and just give me the biggest bang for the buck and hopefully the best probability of making making a decision.
Well, with that too is, the risk management component. You hear me saying day trade 2-to-1 trade. So if I want to risk 250 to make 500, that I can put that into the code.
Absolutely. And trail it, do whatever you want.
And trail it. And I find with my experience and with working with a lot of traders, that's usually if that's the problem. You let yourself go where the computer has no conscience and says you're off, you're done.
Right. You know what's better than trailing there, Coach Paul, is I have one that's ratcheting. I call it ratcheting anyway, where if you're trailing, let's say you're trailing it just arbitrary 10 points behind. Well, if it goes up another point, your trail is going to follow that up with it. It goes up a point, goes with it. But what happens if the market comes down? You might get stopped out. And what if it only came down 11 points and then went 50? You're stopped out. So what I do is I make it's a ratcheting one where I say, hey, keep that trail 10 points apart, but go every 15, now move it up to 10. 15, move it up to 10. Because it's gone 10, 11, 12, 14. It's come down 11. It didn't hit my stops. It hasn't moved yet. So that's what I call a ratcheting stop. And I'm going to make that available too.
It's much more dynamic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see if we got some other questions in the chat. Are there rate limits on the API?
Yeah, it's 400 per query.
There you go.
Or 400 concurrent requests.
Where can we access the API docs?
I will put that link for a moment. Don't switch to my chart, Jay, because I got to pull up my other browser and I don't know what sensitive information is on it to find that link.
All right, while you find that, let's go over crude oil, Coach Paul. Let's go over this real quick. We got a crude oil chart up here. Let's take a look at the daily on crude oil, and man, we did it, Coach
We've been
Paul.
waiting for this.
We've been waiting
we
for
did
it
it
since we got that breakout. Man, what a swing trade that would have been. We were in this Dolby Dorito for a while in crude oil. We were channeling ranging between the 50 and 20 daily moving average. Broke out on the 2nd of June and off to the races. What are we looking at here, Coach Paul? Is it done? Or is it just getting started?
Well, I don't. The future's opinion, right? But in reading the flow, it picked up steam here. But it's the first time we've closed over the 200 in 2 months since April. But look there's a little gap. We got close to it from that break when we broke under the 200. Let's see if we go and fill that gap 2 months later. I think it's at 56 or 58.
The 26 up to 56. Yeah.
So
69, 26 up to 56.
That looks like the target immediately, but still very friendly, and it's not overbought. But today, Ellen took that headline. Interesting. The headline was, there's problems in the Middle East oil. I didn't know that was coming, but reading this flow over the last 2 months, like you just described, let's look at today's half hour.
Let's take a look at the half hour. Last night's open. And
there it is. And look at how small that range was after that large break.
Yep. And 20 point range, 20 tick range for a couple hours.
Well, can we assume that the selling stopped?
Yep.
It was one of the last lessons I had with Pete Stottlemyre. He goes, your most effective trading is to understand where selling stops or buying stops, where the last seller comes in or the last buyer. And this is, in a default to the half hour kind of mode, this is that. Couple things that were positive. That break, we held the 200 on the half hour. We hit a small range in the first half an hour, but we didn't see any selling. Couldn't even break the low of the first half an hour. And our friends in jolly old England once again set the stage. And wow, what was that price? I think it was 65, 66.
64. This low right here you're talking about?
Yeah.
64, 66. And shout out to Hogue. I believe weekly kickoff high was 64.70. And yeah,
Yeah.
30-minute
And
J
let's
trade.
let's anchor that baby up. A J trade for the ages. Look at how urgent that buying was.
Yeah. And this
Like
was on
I
a half an
said,
hour, but that's clearly defined.
Yeah, it's clearly defined, and off those lows where we couldn't go lower. Man, this is the move we've been waiting for.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Now, can it continue? Well, from my point of view, I don't know, and I'll look for places to bet on the long side. On a swing position, I'm long. But since we don't know the future, we have to have some plan.
Yeah.
And my plan is to find places to buy more. And if not, I'd limit my loss. I didn't say I was going to avoid loss.
Can't do that. Can't
but
do that.
If missiles fly in Iran, $5, $7, $8, $10 rally can happen extremely fast. So let's look quickly at the weekly. It was a very interesting setup in the weekly. Put on, yeah. We're above next target. And if we look at a trend, we broke that trend line last week, and we're picking up momentum. So back to the top of the range, to the price that shall never be repeated here on this show. What price is that?
Oh no, I can't say it.
Can't repeat it.
Can't say it. But yeah, we're going that way. It looks like next target maybe this weekly 200 moving average at 73.63. All right, back to Coach Robert. Back to you, Coach Robert. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. I see you posting some things in the chat. You got a couple of links here. Your public Google Drive. Got some API docs as well. What can we find on that public Google Drive?
Well, I just posted the links there while you guys were going through, and thanks for that update there, Coach Paul. Good stuff. I was just scrolling back a little bit, Jay, and seeing what I missed for answering.
Okay.
That was always pretty much doing that. They wanted my setup, so I put a link in there to like what you see behind me, with all these screens and monitors and stuff.
Got you.
So I put that in there, so people were asking for it. Like, well, it's pretty crazy. But the Google Drive, the Google Drive, it's a conglomerate, or just a dumping ground of a lot of stuff that I've acquired. There's literally some pictures in there that just sayings. I got some success quotes, like motivational type stuff, and different ways to think things, right? I have things sort of like the daily trader checklist, the stuff that we use on TopstepTV a lot. So if I have a emotional trading journal, stuff like that. And I also have a couple of things in there that I've built custom, like a risk management. I've actually built a spreadsheet and a calculator that you can have right on your screen. If you want to switch to it, my screen. How much time we have left? By the way,
we got about 10 minutes.
Okay, if you want to toggle it over to my screen, I'd be happy to.
We got you up now.
All right. So let's see if I pull this out. Yeah, I can move this. There's nothing crazy on this here. So this is what I have. There's the 3-bar Reversals in NinjaTrader, that is a bot. It's free to access. If you open it up, it's the NinjaTrader. There's a documentation for it in the actual zip file. So if someone wants to download it and trade it automatically, it's already built for you. And in that document, it's actually about a 45-minute recording where I built this thing live in real time, starting with nothing, no coding needed, using the built-in strategy builder in NinjaTrader, beginning to end, full, absolutely nothing to fully working, and it's all recorded. Feel free to access it, and then you can change it as needed. This is the risk management calculator and spreadsheet. So pretty much, if we pull up the risk management spreadsheet just real quick, it's an actual spreadsheet. It's not my actual Google Sheets, so I'll have to kill that for a moment. The risk management calculator, I will pull up as well. And it's something you can download and use. It's literally an executable file. And actually, you know what I'll do? I will download it so I don't have to go looking for it. I'll hit download right now. Download it anyway. And I'll look at my downloads. It'll be right here. Risk management calculator. There it is.
I'm going to answer a question real quick from Alec in the chat. And I know one of you for sure is going to say yes to this, but I think you both will. Is it okay to scalp? Whenever I go for my full imaginary profit target of 50 points, I lose. Yet when scalping 15 to 30 points, I have an 80% win rate. I want to trade less, similar to Coach Dakota's new style. Scalping okay with you guys?
100%.
I know it is for you.
I'm interested. Did it say I want to trade less?
Yeah. I want to trade less.
For my understanding of scalping, you're not, you're going to trade most likely more.
Unless you increase contract size, that's all. That would be the difference, right?
Yeah.
It's more though. Yeah.
Because you're taking more risk. But so first, before you do that, define that. And start it in your practice account. Don't get fooled. It's because in your practice, we always have that difference between the practice account and the real. But if that's if that's your sense, go prove it, build some memory muscle, and do it. But be sure that your daily loss limit is not 50%. Because when you're scalping, you have to get out quicker in your equity balance. Because how many times, coaches, do we see that? It's so easy to get caught into what I'll call chasing losses.
For sure. Especially when they happen as quick as a scalp can. Right. I had to ask Mandy that, and Coach Robert, I'm going to get back to your zones here in a second. I had to ask Mandy that, who was scalping today on air with me and Dakota, where she took 3 trades, and I asked, and they were 3 pretty quick trades, made about $900 in 45 minutes, and I asked, it's like, when do you cut yourself off? Because if I have a high win rate like that, it almost kind of puts me in a mindset of, I can just do this all the time, right? Anytime I look at the charts, I can make money. But when do you cut yourself off where you say, hey, that's good enough for the day? Coach Robert, I've heard you say, you ask traders, you made $1,500. Why wasn't that enough for you? Right. And things like that. So it's having that kill switch to say, you know what, I did my job. I did enough. Because you can tend to trade more, and we see traders do it all the time. But what do we got up here, Coach Robert? We got a couple of things you're sharing here. What are we looking at?
I did it. Yeah, and we'll just go through this pretty quickly here, Jay. And you're absolutely right. When I'm working with traders, coaching, it's like, man, I did $2,200 today, and I closed the day at -500. Like, that's just, to me, it's just pretty silly, to be quite honest. Like, at least close it at 1,000 positive. And they're like, okay, so you're targeting $2,200 today. What do you do? I work at X blah blah blah, and I make 30 grand a year. Like, well, that's do the math on it. You need $50 a day to quit your job. Why are you shooting for 2,200 then walking away with -500? I don't understand that concept. I know it's up here in the head somewhere. So, but I'm not a psychologist there. But anyway, this is the part I'm good at right here. Everybody has access to this. If you want a spreadsheet, you have a spreadsheet. All you do is change the yellow cells, and it tells you. You can look at the line of your instrument. It gives you all the information, point, tick value, and it tells you how many distance points and profit and money you need and ticks you need for profit and how many days it takes to pass. You do the same thing on the calculator here and then make something up. Let's say we're at 52,500. Okay. And we know that our profit target is 53,000. And our max loss, we trailed it up. So instead of being 4,800, we bring our 25. Let's go 50,200 on it, right? So now we trailed it. Well, how many lots I want to trade? Well, I'm a 2-lot trader. How many days do I have left to pass? I have 13 days left, let's say, to pass before your like your renewal or
rebuild.
going out of town or something. Yeah, rebuild, exactly. And I'm trading the ES. I simply calculate. It gives me all the data on the bottom section as it does on the spreadsheet. Some traders like to have this off to the side that they can use. It's nice and convenient, nice and easy. Some traders like to have a spreadsheet where they can plot it out, and you can actually use this and do graphs and stuff with it as well. So what this is telling me is like, hey, if I want to make my target, these are my distance. It's at daily profit target, excuse me, daily profit needed to reach my target in 13 days is $38.46. And if you change the number, you go, actually, it wasn't 13 days, it was 11 days. I miscounted. Hit calculate again. Well, now it's $45.45, and it tells you how many points you need per day and how many ticks you need per day, per the instrument. Now, if I go, actually, I don't want ES, I'm going to trade. Let's go RTY since not many people know it. Click calculate. It does the whole thing for you. Obviously,
Nice.
the profit target stays the same, but now it tells you how many points and everything you need. And I put all the most common instruments in here as well. And obviously the spreadsheet is the same thing. This is all free to access. Just download it. You can't access it. It's a read-only drive, so just pull it down and
Make a
and
copy.
have fun with it. Yeah, make a copy and it's free to use.
Good stuff. I like that because it helps to kind of zoom out on our goals, right? Where a trader might look at, oh, they made $45 today, and it's going to take forever to get there, and that trader's still going to be trading a month from now, but because they didn't hit the goal in the first day, they're going to feel like it's taking too long. But if you zoom out and you, like Coach Robert just said, you can make $45 a day and hit 3,000 in 2 weeks. It's not bad. Right.
It's not bad.
I don't know if that math. I don't know if that math was right, but
I think it was
I was
45,
doing it.
45.
It's like
for 11.
It's like the penny. If you double it every day in a year, you'll have millions of dollars.
I mean,
Yeah.
keep
And
on
it's not
doubling it.
extrapolating either. We don't want to do a full-on extrapolate. Well, if I did this, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm this age. That would be full-on extrapolation. This is simply saying, what is my target? What do I really need to do? Okay, we know we need $200 for 5 days to take a payout. So start with that, work it backwards. Well, how many days can I do? How many contracts? What instrument am I trading? And where does that come out to? $205 per day. Hey, look at that. So how many ticks is that? Change the instrument you're looking for. And I think it's pretty cool. It just gives you something to look at. We don't want to see, if you want to make 50 grand a year, you do the math on it. Again, this is not an extrapolation. It's still an exercise. If I go for a job, I need to negotiate my hourly rate. I have to do the same exact math, right? So, hey, I need to live off of 50 grand a year. That means I need X amount per like 25 something dollars per hour on a 40-hour week for a year to make 25 grand. Okay, great. So that means $250. I need, I'm sorry, $25 an hour. So if I need $250, how many points do I need of ES? Well, I need 5. Well, do I need 5 a day, or can I have 3 2-point trades a day, or 2 3-point trades a day, right? So this is just making it a little bit easier. I shouldn't say easier, but simpler, and narrowing it down. I'm a huge on simplicity. Occam's razor all the way. The simpler, the better. And giving you a target. We've come to the market and say, man, I'm entering. Coach Paul had said this a little while ago. I'm going to make my trade. I'm going to do a 2-to-1 ratio. Here's my target. Here's my stop. Great. Well, why did you put that target in there? Why is it? Is it $400? Why? You need $50 a day for your profit to reach your goal in 5 days. So if you're going for $400, 2-to-1, your risk is going to be minus $100. Well, can you afford that? Well, now you need to increase your each trade profit target. Again, it is just something to use as a guide. Nothing is set in stone on these, just like our indicators, just like candles, just like the actual trading days. It is a guide. I found it very helpful. So that's one of the coding things I did. There's a couple of them I have out there that free to use. Just go into the drive, download it, and have a ball.
Yeah, it's a nice tool. And I like what you said is you start getting the mindset of, okay, just trading to make money or measuring your risk. And you can see that when you practice that and use that tool, it really starts clicking, and you can see it well.
Yep.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we are coming up on time here, Coach Robert. I do want to thank you for joining. Next week, are you doing another class? Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe they said it today. I wasn't notified yet, but
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
be happy to.
Well,
Breaking news.
You'll have
we'd
to
like
let
to
me know.
notify you now.
Breaking
What class am I
news.
doing? Seriously, enlighten me. Was it said? What am I doing?
I might have heard incorrectly. Don't worry about it. We'll go back and watch.
I know. So what I
Andre,
am doing is I spent a lot of time today and tomorrow doing more of the Topstep X in 5 minutes or less videos of how to use them, and I can drop that link to the drive in there as well. It's
Okay.
all okay. There we go. The Topstep X, or in 5 minutes or less. YouTube, yep, I thought I already had it here. Okay, I will pull that up and put that in there as well. I made a bunch of those today, and I'm also going to be doing some tomorrow on the new dashboard, the new TRM that we have, and just kind of an overview. I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be too long, but it's gonna just kind of walk you through. We don't have anything like that. Maybe they were talking about that, but
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'll find out tomorrow.
You'll find out tomorrow. All
Thanks,
right. Well,
guys.
thank you for joining, Coach Robert.
Thank
as
you,
always.
Robert.
Coach Paul, anything you got before we go?
I'm looking forward to Coach Robert's class. Whether he whether he likes it or not. No. Tomorrow, remember, PPI and headlines, and going back to what our focus should always be: watch the bottom line, understand your risk.
100%. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Coach Robert. Thank you, Coach Paul. Thanks, Andrew, and everyone for asking your questions. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. Tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. We do have Coach Hoop coming up with a class in Discord in about 15 minutes. And then Coach Ray and Coach Vince at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time. Coach Dakota with slow markets tonight. It is Wednesday, but I will not be joining Coach Dakota. I do have to go take a nap and then get packing. But I will see you all tomorrow for At the Buzzer. Thanks for joining. Have a great night.
One
What's
last
up?
thing.
What's
Nice haircut.
Oh, thank you, Coach.
They finalized it.
Yeah, I had to go back and get it finished last night. I figured I wasn't gonna have time today, so I was just like, you know what? Even if I'm not feeling great, I gotta go finish this haircut. Hopefully, it's looking pretty good. And
Styling.
yeah. Have a great night, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.